If you've been following the past few episodes, you already know about Desperella, the inner villain who quietly convinces you that settling, overgiving, and playing small are your safest choices. And if you're new here, let me introduce you to the character we've been exploring, Desperella, the shadow within all of us who thrives on fear, insecurity, and self doubt. She's a sneaky one, Desperella, because she shows up in subtle moments when you hand over your power without realizing it. Hey, 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 welcome to the Star Monroe Show with your sensational host, myself, Star Monroe, psychotherapist, master life coach, and founder of the High Standards Woman. This podcast is specifically curated for the ambitious, driven woman who demands more, who is ready to align with her higher self, embody her inherent worth, and magnetize everything she truly and deeply desires. In previous episodes, we've delved into how Desperella manifests in your relationships, work, and actually how you view your own self-worth. But here's the truth. Desperella isn't just here to keep you stuck. She's here to wake you up. And today, I'm going to be diving into the question, what is Desperella really trying to teach you? You see, Desperella isn't just the villain. She's also the guide showing you exactly where you've been living out of alignment with your highest self. Whether you've noticed patterns of self-sabotage or felt like you're not fully stepping into the woman you know you're meant to be, and you know this is happening because it will feel uncomfortable. You will feel as if there is more. Then please stick around because this episode is going to shift your perspective. It's not about battling Desperella or kicking her under the rug, denying her or ignoring her. It's actually about learning from her. Because when you recognize her influence, you begin your most profound transformation. And it's a transformation that happens from within, and it will elicit deep, everlasting change. Desperella is the key to reclaiming your sovereignty. And if I was sitting in my therapist chair, I would call it autonomy. I always prefer the word sovereignty, though. And when you reclaim your sovereignty, you align with your higher self, your version of the high standards woman, the woman who always gets what she wants. So, as I said, the invitation is to view Desperella not as an obstacle and to start seeing her as a guide. Her presence signals something in your life that is out of alignment. When you're settling, it's because you've lost touch with your own self-worth. When you're overgiving, it's because you're seeking validation outside of yourself. And this is a skill. In fact, I just left a voice note for one of my private clientele this morning. And I said to her, you are on this path of cultivating self-validation. And it is indeed why I decided to decenter men over a year ago and place myself on the pedestal where I have been conditioned to place them. And over this last year, I've really doubled down on validating and seeing myself at every single moment of every single day. So I'm no longer seeking it from men, other people, external circumstances. Desperella magnifies these behaviors so that you can start to recognize and address them. She doesn't, and she isn't here to keep you stuck. And in fact, you're never stuck. take a moment, even if you are thinking that you're stuck right here, right now, move your arms. I'm flapping my arms in the wind here. Move your legs, stand up, walk around. You're never stuck. Your heart is always beating. Your blood is always pumping around your body. You're moving. You're never stuck. It's that mind trickery of your ego that tells you you're stuck. And when you start to look at why you are playing small, why you are constantly seeking external validation, you're like, oh, yes, this is a sign for me to wake up to myself. My soul, my higher self is calling me, and it's time for me to listen. Because the moment you recognize Desperella's influence is the moment you begin your audacious awakening. You start to ask bigger questions. Where am I playing small? Where have I settled for less than I deserve? And why do I keep repeating patterns that don't serve me? And I'm going to insert a story from the Rolodex of my life. And this is indeed what started to shift the trajectory of my life as I sashayed into the decade of my 40s. I'm now 53. And I realized there were patterns that were repeating. It was the same pattern, but it was repeating itself in relationships. So I was in a codependent relationship, and I would leave the codependent relationship and then go back into it and repeat on and off, on and off. And then I would repeat it with my body. I would eat clean. It was a diet. And then I would binge and keep repeating that. And then I would do the same thing with alcohol. I would stop drinking and then start drinking. And this was a pattern. And the pattern is a symptom. It's not the problem. So this is why it's essential to work with someone who can see deeper than you can see yourself, because the problems that you think are problems, they're not. They're symptoms of a deeper issue. And at the core of this is our conditioning. At the core of this is our previous wounding from our childhood, from our life experiences, where we have been conditioned and brainwashed to think that we're not enough, there's something wrong with us, that self-doubt is true, and it's not. This is all conditioning, and your job is to clear out the clutter, clear out the conditioning, clear out the debris so you can align with your highest self. So as I was saying, your questions are to yourself, why do I keep repeating the patterns that don't serve me? Desperella is your guide, and she brings these questions to the surface, and answering them, being willing to look at them from a different angle, will lead you to reclaim your power. So let's dive deeper into how you can start to integrate these shifts into your day-to-day life. Well, sachet 1 is to face your shadow. Transformation always begins with acknowledging the parts of yourself that you have been avoiding. Desperella is the embodiment of these parts: fear, doubt, insecurity. But rather than running from them, the high standards woman faces them head on. She looks at her shadow and asks, what are you here to teach me? By embracing this mindset, this willingness to go deeper, you start to gain clarity. And clarity is the antidote to self-doubt and overwhelm. You begin to see where your life is misaligned with your higher self, and it's in this clarity that you can start to make new choices that liberate you. And in fact, one of the tattoos I have on my arm is make choices that liberate you. The next sachet number 2, is transforming Desperella's energy. And the power of Desperella lies not in her ability to keep you small, but in her potential to be transformed. When you recognize her influence, and it's going to come about because you're starting to ask yourself these questions. You have a choice. You always have a choice. I talked about this a couple of podcasts back. You always have a choice. Continue living from fear and scarcity, or transmute that energy into confidence and abundance. And I read a quote a while back where it says, you must choose to believe in yourself more than your fears. And once you recognize Desperella, once you see her, she starts to lose her power. I always think about when I was a child, when I closed my eyes and hung my leg over the end of the bed, I was like, oh my God, the monsters are going to get me. And there's like monsters under my bed. And I still do that now at 53. And it's like, just get up and look under the bed. And it's like, it's realizing that my mind is playing tricks on me, and Desperella is a trick that your mind is been playing on you over and over again because you're listening into that endless loop of chatter and nonsense. So once you start recognizing her, you shift from seeking validation from others to validating yourself. This is so key. And this is why I will advocate for you decentering anyone that you've placed on a pedestal higher than yourself. No one is higher than you. No one is. And in fact, if you still believe they are, then your job is to remove them and stand there yourself. And in the process of this, you start to stop overgiving and start setting boundaries. Remember, a high standards woman values her time, energy, and attention. And indeed, in last week's podcast episode, I talked about the power and the lure and the seduction of distractions. And you have to start to put your blinkers on as you move through life and focus your attention on you until the focus is on you. And as you start to do all of this, and it's not the big things, it's the small things. Nothing is inconsequential. You demand more for yourself because you know you're worthy of more. And then this is like this rolling, continuous action. And because you demand more, your worthiness starts to increase, and so on and so forth. Sachet number 3 is reclaiming your rightful place as sovereignty. You are in charge of you. You are in charge of your life. And this comes back to the distractions. You've got to stop listening to all the outside noise. Yes, it's good to learn. And I will advocate for reading books, learning more about yourself, and then coming away from the book or the program and then asking yourself this question is like, well, what is true for me? What do I want to take on board that lifts me up, that propels me forward into living a life aligned with my highest self? It's no good keep cramming more information into your head. You need space. I need space to be able to percolate and contemplate and reflect, take on board what works, and let go of the rest. I always say to my students, my members, my clients who come into my world is take on board what resonates, discard the rest, and if there's resistance, look there, because resistance is the doorway to your growth and to the gold of you. So Desperella shows up to remind you of one thing, your sovereignty. The high standards woman is sovereign. She rules her life from a place of worth, clarity, and power. I always say it is that Empress Queen energy. You are sitting on your throne, and a queen or an empress doesn't sit on her throne and say, oh, do I look okay? Do you think I look thin enough? Does this look okay? No. A queen and empress knows who she is. She knows what she wants, and she knows she will always get it. She no longer plays small. She no longer settles for crumbs. She stands tall, knowing she is deserving of everything she desires. And this is your rightful place. Reclaiming your sovereignty means making choices that align with your higher self every single moment of every single day. It no longer means allowing distractions, doubts, or Desperella's whispers to pull you off course. And this is why I say you cannot afford to fall asleep at the will of yourself or your life, because you will revert back to your old patterning. And this has indeed been my path. I have reclaimed my sovereignty, found my path, and then I got complacent and I got lazy. I'm trying to think of the opposite word to humble. I got egocentric with it. I was like, oh yes, I've got this, no problem, I can do this. I don't need to do all my practices anymore. And then I was brought to my knees again and again. And indeed, I had 3 mental breakdowns. It took 3 mental breakdowns to wake me up. That's how stubborn this Taurian is over here. And I was actually listening to a podcast with Marianne Williamson, and she was saying the same thing. She gets the work works when you do the work. And in every single ancient philosophy, there is always a nod to having a morning practice. There is always this doorway for you to connect into yourself at deeper levels every single day. You cannot get away without doing the work. So it means making choices that align with your higher self every single day. Create that morning practice. And if you want to borrow mine is I wake up, I purposefully have slow mornings. I do not rush around, because as soon as I start rushing around, I will get anxious and irritable, and I'm not a good person to be around when I'm anxious or irritable. And I will make my coffee and I will sit down with Morning Pages, which is from Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. And then I'm a student of the I Ching, and I am moving into being a student of the Course of Miracles. So I will read a passage from those books, and also I will read another book and contemplate it and write notes. And then I will either go out for a walk or sit and meditate or do some chanting. And that is religious. It is a non-negotiable every single morning. So it means this is a call for you to no longer allow distractions, doubts, or Desperella's whispers. She's very seductive, Desperella, to pull you off course. Sovereignty is about owning your desires unapologetically and taking bold actions to bring them to life. And there's a nod here for you to find a cohort of women that are doing the same work. It is essential as you evolve, as you grow, that you hang around with women that are making their dreams a reality. Because what I've learned over and over again throughout the years is that when I hang around with women who are playing small and they're quite happy with that, and there's no shade there, what it does, it pulls me into me thinking, oh, maybe it's okay to play small. And yet I've always been here to live a grander, more finer, exquisite life. So I want to hang around with people who are living their dreams, who inspire me to grow and evolve, to take chances, to do more. And in fact, a reminder that you're here to create your path. I'm here to create my path. And your path is going to look like something unique for you, as it is for me. And what I'm learning more and more is no one has created this life that I'm here to create. So I need to be around people that are living their life, because it's the mindset, it's the attitude that rubs off on me. So I've talked about 3 steps, I called them sachets, 3 sachets today about looking at self-sabotage through a different lens. You know, what is self-sabotage really trying to teach you? And it is about you facing your shadows. And as you do that, you're transforming your shadow's energy, you're transmuting it into potential and growth. And as you do that, you're reclaiming your rightful place of sovereignty. Desperella is not just a villain. She's a catalyst. She shows you the areas of your life where you've settled, where you've handed over your power, and where you've been living out of alignment with your true potential. And it's through recognizing and transforming her influence that you step fully into the high standards woman. Desperella's final gift is clarity. Clarity to see where you've been playing small, and the courage to step into the life that you know you're destined to live. And courage is a muscle that gets stronger when you keep making choices that liberate you. When you integrate the lessons Desperella offers, you reclaim your power, you raise your standards, and raising your standards is the way to dilute her grip on you and beginning living as the woman who always gets what she wants. If you feel resonance with my wisdoms, my teachings, and you are ready to live a life aligned with your highest self, I work with established entrepreneurs and professionals who know they're here for more. Not just in the way they've done it so far, that push, that hustle, that force. There is another way, and if you're ready to align with your higher self and dive deeper into the relationship you have with yourself, I invite you to book a private call with me, and you're going to find all those details in the show notes. As always, I am so grateful and thank you for you spending your time and energy with me. And join me each week for transformational conversations, insights, and strategies to help you rise up into your high standards woman era. Embrace unapologetic confidence and live a life of excellence your way on your terms. It's time to become the woman who always gets what she wants.